So now we're going to look at our notes and app, and we're going to use SwiftData for this. So first of all, we need to make our class, which is notes. It's just going to have the ID, title, date added, and details. Making sure we're using SwiftData. So to do that, then we've got to go and say what the file name is, and then because we called it notes, we're going to tell it that the container, model container has notes, which comes from that class note. So let's look at what it does. So in our content view, we just open up the notes list view. So in the notes list view, we'll look at how this works. So again, we're going to import SwiftData, and we'll talk about what the show notes are and the list notes. But first of all, we're going to add a new note to it. When you can do a present sheet, so we need to set something so that it's false. So showing a new note, and then when you press the plus button, we're going to toggle that from false to true, and then it's going to present a sheet of another view. So this is the add note view, where we can put in a title, type in, let's say, house factor on the 1st of August 2024, and we save that. We see then it becomes a list. We can add another one. We've got a cancel and a save. So let's look at what that does. So let's get out of the list view and into the add notes view. So in here we've got environment dismiss, and that says that the sheet dismisses and goes back to the list view. We could add that. If we look down at the buttons, we've got a cancel and a save, and that's all part of a toolbar. Right, so the cancel dismisses the view, and the save bar adds the note, so runs the function so that we add the details, and then dismisses the view to go back to that list view. And so we've got our dismiss environment variable, which does that. And what we're also doing is we're making sure that bringing in some state variables of the title and the date. And we're presetting the date to the current date. That's what that function there does. And we've got a bit of a date picker. So that's the example of a date picker in there. It just looks like that, so we can move through the dates, and that just sets the date type. Now, because we've got that toolbar, we need to use a navigation view there. And that's what that navigation title bar and the toolbar does, which puts those at the top. Hit the cancel there, go back to the list. Let's have a look at what the list view does then. Add one. And I'll add another one, let's say camp for year 9. So that's going to start on Monday the 5th of August. Save that, and we've got that there. Okay, so we need the environment variable and the query. Now the reason we need both is because we're temporarily going to be making some changes to this. Because we've got the delete, we need to make sure that we're using the environment variable, the context, and that'll allow us to delete that there. And that delete would be very much the same for any application that you use. Also got the date. The date's formatted a little bit differently, so to do that we create a little function, and again you can use that function wherever you want in any app, and that just goes day, month, and year. Now, it uses the word year with 3 M's. If it was 2 M's, it would use the numbers for that. No. Now let's have a look at the note detail page. This is where we can add notes to it. And we can add in a note. And then we hit save, back. And we hit save, that actually adds that note to it. So you know what a great event. Let's say we added something else. It was the best. We don't hit save, we go back, and that's no longer there. So let's have a look in the note detail view to see how that works. Okay, we go to our dismiss, so that dismisses the view, and that's what the back does. Also, when it saves, it dismisses the view and goes back to the earlier. Now, bindable, which means if we just change the variables, that will actually change it in SwiftData. Right? We want to bring them in temporarily to title and details. And so we got state variables there for someone to enter it in to start with. And you can see there I need to fix up that date added because I've got date added as actually physically changing the actual SwiftData note date if I change that. So I'll fix that up later. But if we look at our buttons then, right, so if we save something, then it updates the note and then dismisses the view. The updating the note, like I said, because it's bindable, it just changes the value. The delete, though, we need to change the context because we actually need to tell it which one to delete. So that's why we need to put that in environment of model context for the delete. Still work if we put it in if we don't use a delete, because we're not using the variable. But it is only necessary because of the delete. The bindable will do the updating for us. Now, when the delete gives, we want to make sure it is. So we're going to do a warning. So we're going to preset that to false. So we make a variable for that. The delete button changes that to true and then shows this alert. So the alert presents itself if the show alert's true. And then inside it, it's got two buttons, the delete and the cancel. The delete then deletes the note and dismisses the view, or the cancel just changes the alert to be false, so it just disappears.